We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Hi, welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown. We hope to inspire, entertain, and learn something so we can all make this world a better place for our children. I'd like to introduce to you somebody who's my friend, my wingman, my main man, and I have a wingman watching my back, Dr. Paul Thompson. Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Thompson, and you just heard from Mr. Drew Brown, Dark Gable. He's the American dream. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and most importantly, his royal fullness. How are you doing today, Mr. Dark Gable?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad I'm full of knowledge, Paul. I'm glad I'm full of knowledge. Well, we're going to have a great show right now. Check this out. Dr. Paul, I want to say arrivederci, but I'll do that at the end of the show because I learned that in Italy.
Oh, that's right. You went to Italy. I guess you had, we'll call this Buddy Drew's Great Adventure.
No doubt about it. Oh, there's a lot of things we could talk about right now, but Italy was incredible. But I do want to start this show off with something real important. First of all the old and new listeners, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. We really do appreciate it. If you could drop a little review on Apple Podcasts, we'd really appreciate it. Now, this is what I want to drop on you. Today is International Self-Care Day. And when it hit me, and that means no matter when you hear this show, today is Self-Care Day. In other words, every day should be Self-Care Day. And then I read a quote with that it said, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. And as you know from flying, and we flew all over the world, we flew for many, many years, military, commercial, the first thing you do is put on your oxygen mask, not help somebody else. And that's because you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of somebody else.
That's true.
What do you think about that? International Self-Care Day?
Yeah, it should be Self-Care Day. As you say self-care, I'm just thinking about caregivers and people who give care, who are taking care of sick people, or just taking care of well people. You know, they need to take care of themselves because there's an adage that I just made up. Who takes care of the caregiver when the caregiver is the one that needs the care?
Wow.
That's original. I don't know if it's good. Right, yeah, you know, who's going to take care of it? So, you know, don't if you go to the hospital, don't burn out the nurses, don't burn out the doctors. Some of them are already kind of burned out. I've had some personal experiences with a number and know a number. Be a good patient if you got to be a patient. Sometimes the doctors are the worst.
The best patient is the person who tells the doctor exactly what's wrong with them, because you're the best indicator of that. Right. And another thing about taking care of others, just real quick, since you brought that up, when you take care of others, it kind of takes care of yourself too, because things that you do come back to you. So anyway, my Italian trip. So we did Rome in a day. We did Florence. We did Bologna. And Bologna is a city where the tortellinis were invented, and also ragu sauce. And I ate tortellinis and ragu sauce in Bologna. You can believe that.
Now, this is the real ragu stuff, not the stuff in the bottle.
Deal. Yeah, there's no picture of an Italian lady cooking with a spoon on it.
Okay.
No.
Now, did you meet Chef Boyardee?
That's French.
Is it? I don't know. But you know something, there's no such thing as Chef Boyardee. That's totally
I knew that. No, I didn't meet anybody, but I will tell you this. Drop it right now. I've eaten the best pizza in the world. And I'm going to put that up on a YouTube right now, the pictures of where we ate it. And it's in Naples, actually.
Better than New York.
It is voted the best in the world.
Beat even New York pizza. The world
best pizza I ever put in my mouth. Not even close in Naples. So that's from a New Yorker. That's from a New Yorker. So that's way up there. And I'll show you pictures of my food. So then we went to Naples. Then we went to the Amalfi Coast. And that's where the rich hang out.
You keep your summer yacht there?
No.
With the oligarchs?
I sold that's right. They took it from me.
Oh, okay.
No. Anyway, beautiful place. Oh, man, Sorrento. Now, we were there in the Navy because Naples was a big port for us.
Yeah.
And so we used to go all the time. So I took the family to Sorrento. I had my granddaughter with me. I had my daughter with me. I had my wife with me. And I had my former wife with me, Lori, who's a great friend of our family now. And we're very blessed. We're very blessed to be able to travel like that. But we went to a wedding in Sicily. And I am not joking. I'll show you pictures of that too. The church, the atmosphere was up on like a hill. I'm telling you, when they started playing Ave Maria in the church, I started visualizing people getting shot in America, just like The Godfather.
At the end of The Godfather?
Dropping like flies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great ending, you know, where they're blessing the baby. And do you, Michael, do you take the yes? And then they play the recording music.
I saw it.
Back to it.
I'm telling you, it was ingrained in me because that's the kind of wedding it was.
Really?
Yes. And then we went, when I told you, we went to the beaches of Sorrento, which was beautiful. The Amalfi Coast, there's the island of Capri, which we didn't get to. And it's just a big, beautiful, little beautiful island with Beverly Hills shops on it. So if you're rich to the Mitch, you can go hang out there, see what's happening. But anyway, Italy was great. The people were great. And guess what? My last day, I started feeling a little bit bad, Dr. Paul. I said, man, I'm worn out. I even had a little chill. Well, I guess you read the news. It's all over everywhere. Somebody very important got COVID.
Yes, the leader of the free world.
And me.
Well, that's what I meant, leader of the free world.
Can you believe this? I tested positive for COVID-19, and I'm wearing this shirt. Look, educated, motivated, but the big one, vaccinated. So I'm double boosted, double shot, everything. And I shook it off like a fly. And I'm not kidding. And thank you, God. Thank you, Shorty, for me not being real sick. But it was like a slight cold. My symptoms were very slight and had no fever. I have the best doctor in the world because I'm in contact with my son. Told him all about it. Katrina got a little bit sicker than I did. I'm talking about symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad, though. And that's that vaccination. I wonder about all those people who are still doing research on the internet if they found out. And I'm going to tell you something else. No kidding. First of all, the fear was over of getting it. So that was gone.
Now you're a veteran.
Now I'm a veteran. Second of all, the second thing I did was I called my sister, who said that they didn't want to take the vaccine because they don't do what other people tell them to do. That was some kind of excuse. Anyway, I called them and I said, look, God told me to call you right now. I got the COVID, and if you get it, you may die. But I have to tell you that now because I can't take it in my head if something happened to you and I didn't repeat what I said to you before. So anyway, I got COVID, and I heard you had a pretty interesting little last couple of days also.
Yes. I have a family member that's been hospitalized. The interesting thing was getting to the hospital. Well, getting to the hospital took about 5 minutes, but getting seen by a doctor took 14 hours and 25 minutes. I can tell you a lot of stuff about emergency room care. This was the third time I was in that emergency room in, I guess, the last 15 years. One time involved my mother. Second time involved me. The third time involved someone else. The one with my mother, it took about 90 minutes. The one with me took about 3 hours. But I'll say that the big difference is the first two waiting times, it was a different hospital administration, and they were taken over by another group. And I think it's one of these for-profit groups. And if you got an emergency, you're in trouble because this is the only kind of good hospital I'm told, between here and Macon.
Now, here's a trip, and I just want everybody to know this. Dr. Paul's a millionaire with a great life, great insurance, Medicare, and everything. He has everything you could want for going to the hospital as an American. And this is what it took him. So imagine somebody on the other end of the scope.
Yeah. And when we finally saw the doc, we said, why did it take so long? He said, believe it or not, My wife just got out of here 2 days ago. We came, she was hospitalized for 5 days. We didn't wait 14 hours, but we waited 12. He's a surgeon at the hospital.
No way, Doc.
He told me. That's what he told me. And he shrugged his shoulders. I think a lot of these doctors are basically, you know, they're pretty much employees. It's not the Marcus Welby or the stereotypical doctor of the 50s or 60s, 70s, or 80s. They're like employees that can be dismissed if they say something or do something wrong. It's very interesting. But
isn't there an atmosphere now of people who they just don't really care that much, and they don't take responsibility for their jobs or pride in them? And I'm trying not to be negative, but I'm saying the average worker who's not in a field that they love, that seems to be their attitude.
I felt that at the emergency room too, with there's like 3 different levels you got to go through. The doctors were fine, but before you get there, it's like, you know, you might as well have been in a bowling alley, but no choices. So try to stay healthy.
No doubt about it. What happened to you with your appendix? You told me a story that really took me in a whole nother direction.
Oh, well, with my appendix, again, it was weird. They didn't know what it was for a long time because I had unusual symptoms. Instead of diagnosing it in 2 days, it took 2 weeks. But the thing was that the biggest thing, and I think I told you about this, is that I had that hospitalization required me to have a flashback. It's a big flashback. And at some point, I don't know what the system is called, but I don't think I was intubated or something, but they had to put something in my mouth because they wanted to observe what was going on in the stomach. That's where they thought the problem was. They found it was the appendix later, but they thought it was the stomach. I thought it was the stomach. So they put this thing and it's going through my nose and it's uncomfortable. It said it's going to be uncomfortable. It was barely tolerable. And I immediately had a flashback to something called SERE School, Navy SERE School. And you can talk, and I had never had this thought. This was like 30 years before. You know, it's just like, wow. And it was lasted for a sec. And I was uncomfortable. I had this thing on, probably for like 4 days or so. And I had like uncontrollable hiccups. That was one of the side effects.
Well, wait a minute. You brought in a subject, Doc, SERE School.
SERE School.
That perked my interest right up because I got something to say about that. But I don't tell our listeners what you're talking about. SERE School.
SERE School. Okay, yeah, it's not SEAR, it's SERE. SERE, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. It's basically a POW or prisoner of war scenario. Should you be caught or captured, things you might expect, things you might go through. Not a pleasant experience, but...
Well, why would you have a flashback to that?
Well, at times at the SERE School, you're not treated very well. You're treated as an enemy. And they're making you do some unpleasant things and making you very, very uncomfortable.
Like waterboarding? They kick my ass every single day. They hurt me. They roughed me up. They beat the shit out of me. You are so nice. It's incredible. But you don't fool anybody like, hey, can we go to SERE School?
Yeah, you know, it's not a vacation. I think Sorrento was a lot nicer. You know.
Well, SERE School, let me tell you my little thought of SERE School. First of all, everybody that we know who has gone through it has said this. You get a certificate after you finish, and they say if you can't find that certificate, you're going to have to do it again. Everybody I know has 100 copies of those certificates, and they send them to their family all over the world. So there is a copy. That's number one.
I have a copy. I have a copy right here. It's about 2 feet from my left leg in a box.
How about I believe that totally?
Sure, I can show it to you.
SERE School.
Want me to take it out?
Nope. When we were there, the enemy were Russians.
Right.
So that's what the enemy talked like, looked like, and acted like. And they go after your weakest, vulnerable spots. First of all, when I went, it was in Brunswick, Maine, and it was 40 degrees below zero. And we started out outside. And just to give you a little sense, it was so goddamn cold. The happiest sound in my life is when they captured us. I'm not kidding. I thought I was going to die out there.
They take you inside.
I realized it was going to get even worse. But also, it was so cold. There was a couple of times I could have escaped. Where the hell was I going to go? I'm going out there. So anyway, This is the thing that I love, though. They tried to get to you. So they physically hit you, and, they don't punch you in your face. But believe me, it is really rough.
They slap you around pretty good.
I think a couple of classes before I went through, a whole Navy SEAL team went through, and they reversed it and captured the camp.
That happens every once in a while.
Yeah. So actually, when I went, there were no more Navy SEALs allowed to go with other Navy SEALs. Only one SEAL at a time with the group. So anyway, what happened to me was they tried to get in my head, and because I'm black, they called me Night Fighter. Night Fighter.
That's common. Yeah, that's common. Yeah, I remember that.
I thought, just like when they tried to make fun of my call sign, when they say, you think you're tall, dark, and handsome? You're not Clark Gable. You're Dark Gable. Right. Ha ha. And I was like, that's the coolest name I ever heard. Anyway, I ran with Night Fighter also.
Yeah.
So when they would come by and say, I'm Night Fighter, like I turned a negative into a positive. They're trying to make it like offend me because I'm black.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, I'm making it like I'm a superhero. And when they did debrief us, they said that was one of the best things that they've seen when you take something like that. But anyway, it was so rough. No kidding, Dr. Paul. When I thought that I think it's 3 days or something. I'm not sure, but I thought I was there a week, and I thought that they're not going to let us go. Mm-hmm. And they raised the American flag.
At the very end.
Tears came to my eyes. Tears came to my eyes.
Yeah, because you don't know.
That's a hell of a flashback for you to get.
Yeah, because one thing you lose sense of time. Yeah, when they were putting that stuff in my nose, I was kind of losing sense of time. Like, I'm here again. I had never had that thought from the time I left there.
It's called survival. You've never been put under that kind of idea that I could die right now. Yeah, and breathing is a big one. And I don't want to bring it back to COVID, but that's what respirators were used for, to help people breathe. Very scary. If you're not vaccinated, go get vaccinated, go get boosted, please. I don't want more people to die, and it doesn't look like it's stopping. But guess what? I got it. I tested positive yesterday. I have no symptoms anymore, and I tested again, positive. So I'm in quarantine. Yeah, I have 0 symptoms, but I tested positive. So I'll have to stay holed up here in my house.
Okay. All right. Well, don't.
So while I'm here in my house, Katrina and I say, you know what? Let's try this delivery service. So we try, it's called Postmate, and I think it's run by Uber. I'm not really sure, so don't get anybody in trouble, but I did call back Uber support. Anyway, I call up, I ordered food. It took about 45 minutes, and a picture came through. They delivered my food, and it was on a black top with a white line, the street lines. Mm-hmm. There's no white line or black top within a mile of my house. They actually put this on a road, took a picture of it, and left. So I have no food. Well, I am pissed. And I pick up that phone like we always do, and I'm going to call customer service. You ready for this story, Dr. Paul? I call customer support. First of all, it's a recording. That's not unusual anymore. They asked me 2 questions. The second time I said I didn't receive it, boop, right up on my screen, refund immediately. Everything but the tip I gave that person. I stay on the phone because I want my tip back too. Anyway, what has happened is now there's something called the telephone loop. I'll name it that. And no matter what number you push, you're still going to get a recording. There's not going to be a time during this loop, no matter what recording you listen to, where it says, would you like to speak to somebody? There is nobody there anymore. So a couple of things. First of all, if you don't have any technology, because we're going there. It's no doubt about it. If you don't have technical knowledge, you're in a world of hurt right now. You're in a world of hurt. But customer support is done. It's going to be by chat or by email.
Yeah. And
so you need to learn how to read and write English very well, right, because that's the way of our future. And even if you don't like technology, guess what? You need to get on our frequency, Wingman Show frequency.
Yes.
You can watch us on wingmenshow.com too. Wingman Show frequency, you need to learn English real well. You need to learn how to convey a message in a written manner. What do you think, Doc?
Because I'm like that too. I really just want to speak to somebody. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to a machine. That's what I say to myself. But sometimes you have no choice because there is no one to talk to. It'll just go on that loop. So you have to resign to typing the right thing, and this AI can pick up a lot of stuff, but you can't use a lot of colloquialisms and slang and things like that you might use in normal conversation with a person, because you're going to say, do not understand, say again, and I scream at the screen. The computer is not upset, and I'm not getting the answer that I want because I can't speak to the person I want because there is no person. Sometimes there is at the end of the chat, which is
no,
cool.
no. Usually
there chat is okay
to get to a person. Not this time. Not
right. Sometimes the chat doesn't work. It's like it's just you and the machine. So hopefully there's a meeting of the minds.
No, the chat is a machine. The chat takes your question and it sends it through a loop and it gives back a mechanical answer, not a person. It's a new way. Yeah. You're going to have to learn. And you know what the best way to deal with the hospitalization system is? Don't go to the hospital.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Doctors tell you that. Doctors tell you that's the worst place to be. I've heard from a bunch.
Time for a Wingman PSA.
I'm ready.
This is a Wingman PSA. Do what you're supposed to do, not what you want to do, until what you're supposed to do becomes what you want to do. And then you can do what you want to do. This has been a Wingman PSA.
And that's like going to school. Maybe you don't want to go to school, but if you go enough, you're going to find something you like.
Right.
And then you're going to like going to school. And then you can say, hey, I'm going to school because I want to. Right. That's the best analogy I can come up with over that. All right. We do a lot of it with money. How's our Ford stock doing?
Oh, let's see. Let me look.
We bought 100 shares at $14.50. And this was a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
remember, we're doing this long term.
It's 12. That was closed Friday at $12.82. Was down.
All right, so we're down a couple of $100. We're going long term. And I only brought that up because I want to talk something financial. The Wingman Show, both you and I believe that financial freedom is the key to being happier in life. In other words, when you're not dependent on somebody else all the time, when you're not under somebody's thumb, and you got to work hard to get to that point, but financial freedom. But my son taught me this, and I have been spreading this about freezing your credit. And my credit has been frozen for the past maybe 5 years now. It's free to do. It's the 3 systems, Equifax, TransUnion, and one more. Anyway, if you're interested, you need to find out. It's free to do. And that means nobody can ever get into your credit, no matter what they have. The only little hassle is if you want to open up a credit card or you want to buy a house or a car, you have to go to TransUnion, Equifax, make a phone call, give them a code, and they will open up your credit for the amount of days you need for somebody to take a look at it. I think it's one of the best things I've done, and it keeps me secure, honest to goodness.
Okay. So do you do that with each individual agency, or is there a central group that?
No, each individual agency, and it's extremely easy.
Okay.
You can do it over the phone. You can do it online. For people who don't know how to get online, I implore you, please start learning how to do something more technical. We talked yesterday. You're going to need a smartphone. You kind of need one now, but you're going to need a smartphone soon.
Yes.
Remember when they gave you the choice if you want to get paper bills, check here, check if you want to go paperless. Well, guess what? They're just going paperless now. There's no more check, no more if you care.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, you're saving trees, you're saving money, you're saving junk mail and crap. I still get a bunch. I mean, I agree with it. I try to do that as much as I can.
Well, tomorrow I start my exercise regime again. I've been off for 2 to 3 weeks. I've been using my Schottky mat. And for anybody out there with back pain, please look into it. It's the most incredible thing that's happened to me. It's real. I actually hang upside down on one of those, inversion machine. I do that for 5 minutes and I go lay on my shotgi for 20. And my back pain is eventually, it's gone. You know, it comes back every once in a while, but nothing like before I started this. So here's something I want to ask you. You know, we do Wingman, and something real important to us are people who help other people. And we said this was self-care day. Well, Wingmen are people who take care of others. Yes. And when I say, yo, Adrian, everybody thinks of Rocky. Yes. But I think there's another Adrian that you might want to tell us about that was our Wingman this week.
Yeah, this is a Wingman. You know, you've heard the term, I guess it's an old phrase, crime doesn't pay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's another phrase that, you know, being a good person, sometimes it does pay. It's the right thing to do, but sometimes it actually pays. Yeah, there was a young man, a 17-year-old teenager named Adrian Rodriguez in San Diego, California, who did a very nice thing. It's not as dramatic as rescuing someone in a cave or, you know, landing an airplane when the pilots are incapacitated. But this is very important to the person that he helped. He found a purse in a parking lot of a grocery store. And he looked at the purse, saw an ID in it, and instead of taking it to the lost and found, I guess, in the store, he looked at the address and he took it to the address. Yeah, he didn't take anything out of it. He just looked at what was in there. And he took it to the address, knocked on the door. There was nobody home. Right? He just left it and walked away. Later on, the lady that lost it, she looked at her Ring camera and she saw him. She saw this kid clearly. And in her bag, she had her wallet and she had a whole lot of credit cards and a $20 bill. That was it. And she was so touched by someone just taking the time to bring it to her that she decided to find out who it was. There's a quote I can read from her. So I looked into the Ring camera and was like, oh my God, he's such a young kid, recalls Melina Marquez. We need to find him and just give him a little piece of gratitude. And basically they did a campaign on social media, I guess they're fairly young, and they found out who he was. And they said it was such a good thing that they decided to start a GoFundMe campaign to give him a little money. Guess how much money was raised for him?
How much?
$17,000.
Good deed.
Not bad at all. And there's a quote from him saying that my mom always told me since I was little to always do the right thing when nobody was around. I didn't expect nothing back, honestly. If somebody found my stuff, I'd want them to bring it back to me, said the humble youth. But, you know, so here's a case of, people dog out teenagers. Here's a modern teenager. He's 17. He's not shooting up a school. He's not hurting anybody. Did something nice, and something nice was done to him. And that goes back with what you've said a number of times. Be nice to others. Be kind to others. One, because it's the right thing to do. Two, because it comes back at you. Whether it comes directly or indirectly.
No doubt about it. This kid is, he just it's not that surprising to me. I truly believe treat others as you want to be treated. Everything you do comes back to you. These are all on the 11 Facts in Life.
Correct.
On our newsletter that we're going to start putting out here. You'll always see the 11 Facts in Life. Even Dr. Paul, I think, is going to be writing something on finances here. Yes. Just something to help people out. But when you do good, you get good. It's boiled down to that. In life, you do good, you get good. And another thing is, we had to dig for this story, Dr. Paul. We have to dig for these good news stories. You notice that?
You do.
Murder, you don't have to dig for. And that's because the Wingman Show's on a frequency. We're on another frequency. We're trying to take negatives and we're making them positives. Here's two black men who went through racism, went through all the BS. Who gives a shit? We're doing great in life right now.
Right.
And we're trying to share how we did it. And basically, it was hard work and an education. Basically, it was doing the right thing. Basically, when somebody told us no, we said, we're not going to take no for an answer.
Correct.
And it all comes back to the very beginning of what we said today, self-care day. When you love yourself, when you're your best friend, when you believe in yourself, you can do anything. No matter what anybody has told you, a lot of people use the excuse. I grew up, they told me I wasn't nothing. Okay, good. That was then. Today is today. You are something. And that's the thing about traveling too, Dr. Paul. I'll finish with this. There's a whole world out there. Anytime I hear somebody saying, I'm going to die because he left me or she left me. There are billions around the world. You have to expand. Mark Twain said, if you don't travel, you haven't turned the first page on the book of life. And the great thing about having you as a wingman, Dr. Paul, and as a friend, no matter where I go in the world, I don't have to bring you back a souvenir.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, a slice of pizza would be nice.
Dr. Paul, I pray for peace.
I do too. Next time I go to Italy, bring me back a slice of pizza. See if it is as good as a New York pizza, as you say.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.